Hello, and welcome back to Specimen the Sociologist. This is your host, Jessamyn Reichman. If you couldn't tell from my podcast title, I have a slightly corny way of introducing myself. My name rhymes with specimen, but with a J. I'm a budding sociologist on a mission to uncover the science behind our social lives and figure out how we can use it to stabilize our social interactions. Now, today's episode is going to introduce a new principle. While science is crucial, it's just as important to be mindful of how we apply the information. Therefore, it takes dun, da, 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 principles. Per tradition, let's kick things off with a business spotlight. I came across this gem by chance at a friend's Sandlot themed kickball game. For my international listeners, The Sandlot is a late 90s coming of age film set in the US, following a group of friends playing baseball in their neighborhood sandlot. It's a heartwarming film that captures the essence of American culture. Anywho, my childhood friend from middle school was preparing to move to London for grad school, and she wanted to host a Sandlot themed kickball game as her going away celebration. And to honor her, I had to embrace the theme fully. So I had my sporty, baggy blue jeans, a Mariners baseball jersey, my Adidas tennis shoes, and a snazzy fanny pack. However, to top it all off, we each needed unique personal names. So I chose Speedy Spaghetti. Standing at a towering 5'10 with the speed to match, it felt like the perfect fit. Which, not to flex, but still flex. Your girl did win MVP of the game, but pride aside, as we played a few rounds, ate pizza, and goofed around, I connected with two amazing women, Audrey and Adrian. Not only were they incredibly sweet, but they also had the kindest hearts. As we chatted about life, they shared that they worked at a bridal shop and were in need of a new model. So, being the service oriented person that I am, I offered to help model a few wedding dresses. However, it was more of a treat for me than it was for them because it was like playing dress up for a few hours. So, as I walked into the shop, the girls got straight to work and I was quickly immersed into all things bridal. Within moments, the girls were sorting through hundreds of dresses and flipping through various catalogs to find the perfect ones for me. We had a blast trying on everything from black floor length gowns to country chic dresses, complete with matching jewelry and veils. While shooting some content, I asked Audrey and Adrian what the most challenging part of their job was, and without hesitation, they both mentioned the emotional pressure. The emotional toll begins with high expectations as brides search for the one, a dress that will make them feel beautiful, confident, and unique. Then there's the added pressure of time constraints, wanting to please family and friends with differing opinions, and navigating the whole body image concern of the bride. Now, it's a lot to juggle, and listening to the stories gave me secondhand anxiety about all those social dynamics. Because, in full transparency, while I would love a big wedding, I'd also be perfectly content with an elegant courthouse ceremony followed by a beautiful dinner and reception at a chateau or museum. And in a dream world, I would go on a 2 week honeymoon vacation. The first week, it'd be me and my partner. And then the second week, I would want my close friends to come and like crash it. And we can all just like kick it somewhere across the world. But anywho, back to the bridal shop. Despite getting that second wave of like secondhand anxiety, just considering the emotional pressure of working in the shop, Audrey and Adrian quickly reassured me. They shared how they skillfully navigated family disputes, honed social skills to help manage the bride's vision, and created meaningful moments with each and every one of their clients. And I could see their character honestly shine through, which resonated deeply with my personal experience. I could see the way that the character was just shining through during our moments together. They were kind, humorous, and honest about what dresses truly suited me the best. So by the end of our video shoot, it was clear why they loved the work in the bridal industry. If you ever find yourself in Seattle and need a wedding dress, be sure to check out I Do Bridal. You'll not only walk away with the dress of your dreams, but with an unforgettable experience to match. Business spotlight aside, let's dive into today's principle in the pod. That is courage. In this episode, we'll create a working definition of courage, identify ways to overcome the illusion of fear, and how to leverage failure. With that being said, let's slide over to our sister in social science, psychology, to hear her definition of courage. The American Psychological Association would define courage as the ability to meet a difficult challenge, despite the physical, psychological, or moral risks involved in doing so. Examples of these acts of courage could include saving another person's life, overcoming a destructive habit, or voicing an unpopular opinion. Essentially, it's your ability to leverage fear and failure to produce a greater reality. So, while I gave you a textbook definition, let's look at how other people would define courage. Mark Twain once said, "Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, but not the absence of fear." Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal, it is the courage to continue that counts." Marianne Radmacher once said, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes courage is the little voice at the end of the day that says, I'll try again tomorrow." And last but not least, one of my favorite authors, C.S. Lewis, said that courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. While we took a psychological approach to defining courage, hopefully these additional perspectives have created a more well-rounded definition for you. But I don't know if you paid attention, but out of all that we just heard, there are three themes that serve as the ingredients for courage. Those being fear, failure, and reality. So I'm going to go ahead and break each of those down. And yeah, so let's get into it. First up is our favorite F word, fear. Fear is the unpleasant emotion triggered by the belief that something or someone is dangerous, painful, or threatening. Not only is fear the opposite of courage, but it's also its catalyst. You see, fear plays a powerful role in our lives because it serves as the point of decision making. It determines how we move forward in challenging situations and what we truly value. And that's why I would argue that fear shouldn't be a scary belief process, but rather it should be our friend. It should help us focus, identify weaknesses, and bring us into the present moment. For example, you don't know what you have until you're about to lose it. You don't realize what you value until it's threatened. And you don't know you have integrity until you're tempted to cheat. Fear serves as a mirror to our character, offering both clarity and the potential to propel us forward. But pause. Let's be honest. What happens if we face our biggest fears and we fail? Which brings us to the topic of failure, aka the lack of success. Failure is arguably the greatest challenge to personal growth because it questions your definition of success, your core values, and your motivations. But paradoxically, it can also be your greatest reward. Let me share a brief story. During a virtual 90-day check-in with my boss, they had mentioned that failure is not an option. They even claimed that if they had a major meeting but got into a serious car accident, that they would still attend and present. And the cherry on top of it all was that when we were having this virtual meeting, they were currently in the hospital waiting for a loved one's surgery. With all that to be said, while they had an admirable work ethic, it lacked realism. It didn't account for failure, whether it was in the workplace, a loved one's personal health, or in their personal relationship. Because one thing is that most people don't associate efficiency with emotional intelligence, despite those two being linked together. And so that's why I would argue that failure is a path forward because it forces you to be present. This brings me to the final ingredient of courage, and that is reality. Only after identifying your fears and experiencing failure can you become sober minded. Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel Prize winning psychologist, noted that most of our decisions are made emotionally without us realizing it. We then construct rational justification for those emotional choices that show up in our social patterns. If we accept that our decisions and even our principles are often emotionally driven, we can begin to see our fears and failures as opportunities. Or, as my family from Louisiana would like to say, call a spade, meaning be direct and honest. And that's what courage is. It's the ability to leverage fear and failure to shape a better reality. And the beauty of courage is that it looks different in every situation. It could mean overcoming a bad habit, seeking therapy, leaving an unhealthy relationship, or having a difficult conversation with your boss. And that is where we're going to end today's episode. That courage isn't this one time act, rather, it is a daily decision to wake up, to face your fears, to fail, and then to experience the greatest gift of all, which is to be present. And it's in that place you can be sober minded about your next steps and ultimately live a stable lifestyle. Hopefully, you enjoyed this take on courage. Don't forget to check out I Do Bridal for all of your bridal needs. Subscribe to this platform if you have yet to. And there will also be a Linktree app attached to today's bio where you can find I Do Bridal as well as other ways to sew into this platform. So until next time, have a powerful day.